Okay, cos x graph. Cos x graph, right? So how are we going to create cos x graph? We already know that cos maximum value is minimum value is minus 190, 180, 270 and 360. Cos 0 is 0, cos 90, cos 180 is minus 1, cos 270 is 0 and cos 360 is 1. The graph goes like this. Similarly, cos 2x, the range is 360. So that means within the range of 360, what you're going to have is you're going to have two graphs. But obviously, each value will be divided by 2. 90 divided by 2 will be 45. 180 divided by 2 will be 90. 270 divided by 2 will be 135. And 360 divided by 2 will be 180. That means my first graph should end at 180. So the minimum value is 45. Then we write it as 90. Then we write 135, 180. Then we should have 225. 270, 315 and 360. Still, the maximum value is 1. The minimum value is minus 1. So can I say cos 0 should be 0, cos 45 should, cos 0 should be 1, cos 45 should be 0, cos 90 should be minus 1, cos 135 should be what? 0, cos 180 should be 1. So that means the graph goes like this. It curves out, and obviously the single cycle goes up to what? 180. Now from 180 onwards, it's going to be same again. 225, 270, 315 and 360. Then again the graph goes down. It turns around from 315. It goes up. So now the cos 2x will have what? 2 cycles involved till what? 360. Now, depending upon its range, the question can actually give us range from 0 to 180. That means you will only be creating one cycle. If the range is from 0 to 360, you will be creating 2 cycles. If the range is from 0 to 270, then obviously you're going to create one cycle and the half of the other cycle. So that will be depending upon the range itself. Cos 3x. Cos 3x. What does cos 3x mean? That means you need to create 3 cycles. 3 cycles till what? 3 cycles till 360. But the first value will be 90 divided by 3 will be 30. So this is 1, this is minus 1. So this is 30. We write it as 60, 90, 120. Your first cycle should end at 120. Similarly, if we move further, your second cycle should end at 150, 180, 210 and 240. 240 is the value where your second cycle should end. Then we have 270, 300, 330 and 360. This should be the place where your third cycle should end. But obviously you should know that cos 0 is what? 1. So that means 30, 60, 90, 120. Then we go 150, 180, 210, 240, 270, 300, 330 and what? 360. So that means the graph goes from 0, it moves, it curves down. This becomes your first cycle. Then your second cycle goes from here, turns around, meets the second cycle. And then this is your third cycle. This is your third cycle of what? Cos 3x. Similarly, if the question would have directly told me cos half x, right? Cos half x. So that means what does cos half x mean? Cos half x means that each value will be what? Multiplied by 2. So 90 value will come down at 180. 90 value will come down at 180. And it should be what? 360, because 180 will come at what? 360. At 0 we had what? We already know at 0 we used to have what? 1. Okay, but on 90 we used to have 0. On 90 we used to have, now 0 will be at what? 180. Similarly, on 180 we used to have -1, but on 360 we will have what? -1. So the graph will go like this. It will end till here. So this will be the graph created for the range of 0 to, if I want to complete the cycle, this cycle will go up to what now? 720, moving further. But obviously, if the theta is from 0 less than equal to what? 360. So I can easily say this is the graph that I actually wanted. From 0 to what? 360. Okay. Now, in the question, what we understood was a sine bx plus c. This b was particularly the cycle that we worked upon. Now, we should be also working on the amplitude. What does amplitude mean? Amplitude changes the maximum and minimum values of graph. Now, when maximum and the minimum values of the graph is changed, that means the range is changed. What is changed? Range. Range is values of y. In other words, I can even say values on y-axis. Now, if I go up, if you see that this graph had the value from fx, if I am doing function, so I'll be writing down as range as fx. So fx is greater than equal to -1, less than equal to 1. So the range for this particular graph is all the values from -1, greater than -1, and less than 1. Similarly, this will also be what? Greater than -1 and less than 1. This should be also greater than -1 and less than 1. But obviously now, since I am doing the angle, so you are going to write theta is less than equal to, or I would say theta is greater than equal to 0, less than equal to 360. That means for the theta greater than equal to 0 and less than equal to 360, my range is from -1 to 1. So this particularly, there are two things that should be shown as, this will be known as what? Domain, the first, and this will be known as what? Range. Range is the values of y. So now, when we are working on amplitude, you need to understand that you are changing the values of what? Y. So if I want to change the values of y, and if I have similar question to this, let's say we have sine 2 sine we have 2 sine x. Now, if we have 2 sine x, you need to understand what was the maximum value of sine? 1. If the maximum value of sine is 1, so this would be 2 multiplied by 1. We will be substituting 1 in place of what? Sine x. So now your maximum value will be what? 2. My minimum value used to be -1. I will be substituting my minimum value in place of what? Sine x. So that means my minimum value now becomes what? -2. My x-axis is always when it is 0. My x-axis is when it is 0. So now I will be keeping it as y is equal to 2, 0. My x-axis did not change. My x-axis did not change. That means my x-axis will remain same. So if I want to draw the graph in terms of the new values, my maximum value of 90, 180, 270, 360, right? What graph am I creating? Sine. So the maximum value that was 1 has been changed because of sine 2x has been changed to what? 2. So I will write 2 instead of 1. Similarly, my minimum value that was what? -1 has been changed to what? -2. So can I say this will become what? -2 here. So that means I will be writing down my maximum value and my minimum value that has been changed now. Anyways, on 0 we used to have 1. On 0 we used to have 1. Now on 0 we will have what? 2. For sorry, we are creating sine graph. So that means it will be 0 because sine 0 is 0. On sine 90 we used to have 1. Sine 90 we used to have 1. Now on 90 we'll have 2. On 180 we used to have 0. The 0 did not change. It is still the same. So obviously it will remain same. On 270 we used to have -1. But now -1 has been changed to, so we wrote it down as -2. And 360 we used to have what? 0. Still 0 is 0. So we write it down as 0. It is, so the graph that has been made of sine is this. Okay, y is equal to 4 sine 2x now. Sine 2x determines that you need to have 2 cycles now. If the range is not given, we'll consider till 360. But let's specify the range here. We are making it till 360. So if you see, the amplitude is also there. Amplitude is 4. So the maximum value is always 1. So if I write down 4 and 1 in place of the entire sine 2x, that means my maximum value will now be what? 4. My minimum value was what? -1. I will write down -1 in the entire place of sine 2x. So this would be -1. So my minimum value becomes what? -4. That means my 1 is now shifted to 4 and my -1 is shifted to -4 because of the amplitude. Similarly, the x-axis is always what? 0. So x-axis 4 multiplied by 0, it will still remain what? 0. That means my x-axis has not changed yet. The x-axis remains same. So now if I want to create the graph, I'll be creating as 45, 90, 135, 180, 225, 270, 315 and 360. These will be the values. Now at the place of 1 we will be writing 4. So this will be 4 and this should be what? -4. So at 0 we had 0. On 90 we used to have 1, right? But now the cycle has been divided by 2. So we will be writing 4 at the place of what? 45. It is still the same, right? At 180 we used to have 0. Now 180 divided by 2 we will have 0 at place of 90. At 270 we used to have -1. Now at 135 we will have what? -4. And 180 we will have 0 again. So the graph of sin x goes down. So this becomes your first cycle. Similarly, 225, 270, 315, 360. So this is your second graph from here till 360. So this shows what? Sine 2x, but this is multiplied by what? 4. So 4 sine 2x. On the other hand, if I say y is equal to a sine bx plus c, y is equal to 4 sine 2x plus 3. Now I included y shift. I included y shift in the same question because I had 4 sine 2x earlier. We created the graph. But now what I am trying to do is I am trying to make sure that we understand the concept of y shift. You need to know that your graph was 4 sine 2x plus 3. Your maximum value used to be what? 1. Normally the maximum value of sine and cos is 1. So can I say y is equal to 4? 1 comes in the place of sine 2x, but plus 3 is there. So that means now your maximum value have shifted to what? 7. Your minimum value was what? Minus 1. Y is equal to 4 minus 1 plus 3. Y is equal to minus 4 plus 3 becomes what? Minus 1. That means your value of 4, that was minus 4, has been shifted to what? Y is equal to minus 1 because of plus 3 because of the y shift. But now you need to understand the x-axis used to be what? 0. Y is equal to 4, 0 plus 3. But now you have a new x-axis. New x-axis is at the place of what? Y is equal to 3. That means now the rotation, when the graph used to cut here at x-axis, it was 0 at the place of 90, it was 0 at the place of 0, it was 180 at the place of 0. But now this line will be shifted 3 points upwards. Why? Because the y-axis has now changed. So that means if I want to create the graph will go like this. I'll make sure that this is your normal x-axis, right? We'll be writing theta here. Your normal, this is 45, 90, 135, 180, 225, 270, 315 and 360. Now you need to understand that my minimum value was minus 1. My maximum, my x-axis has been shifted toward 3. And this is your maximum value. This is your maximum value at 7. So I can create a imaginary x-axis here. This becomes your imaginary x-axis with dotted line. We are not supposed to write degree on this imaginary x-axis. The degree will remain downwards on x-axis only. Now, we used to have, since we are creating sine graph, you need to concentrate here. Since we are creating sine graph, your sine 0 used to be 0. But the 0 value has been shifted to what? 3. On 45, you used to have maximum value. On 45, you used to have maximum value. Now the maximum value has been shifted to where? 7. On 90, we used to have 0. Because on 180, it was 0. 180 divided by 2, we'll have 0 on 90. But now this x-axis has been shifted. So that means 0 will be on 3. Similarly, 135, we will have minus 1. And 180, we will have 0 again. On 225, it will again be what? Maximum. At 270, we will have the new x-axis. At 315, we will have the minimum value, that is minus 1. And 360, we will have the new x-axis again. So that means my graph will start from 0. It will go upward. Cut the 7. Go down. Cut the minus 1. This is your first cycle. Then moving towards the upward again with the same axis. So this becomes your second cycle. So the second cycle, since I created down, so this is representing 4 sine 2x plus 3. The entire concept is that the graph, this graph that was on 4 and minus 1 has been shifted, the entire graph has been shifted upward by 3. Three sine x minus 2. That means b is 1. The cycle till 360 will remain 1 only. Okay. So y is equal to sine x minus 2. Your maximum value is 1. So y is equal to 3, 1 minus 2. Y will be what? 1. Your minimum value is minus 1. Y is equal to 3 minus 1 minus 2. So that means your minimum value goes till what? Minus 5. Your x-axis is always what? 0. So y is equal to 3, 0 minus 2. Your x-axis will be minus 2. Now if I want to create graph, you need to understand that the values are going downwards. So, and the graph is only 1, right? So we will be creating 90, 180, 270 and 360 for the theta. Your maximum value is 1, right? Your minimum, your new x-axis is at minus 2. This is your new x-axis, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5. So this will be minus 5. You need to understand that on sine 0, we used to have 0, but now 0 has been shifted to what? Minus 2. Your 90, we used to have 1. So that means this will still remain 1 because the maximum value has now been changed. On 180, we used to have 0. Now 180 will be here. On 270, we used to have minus 1. Minus 1 have been shifted to on 360, we used to have, that means we have minus 2 now. So the graph has entirely shifted downward because of the y shift of negative 2. Have I made myself very clear?